There is a saying that is attributed to Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. It goes something like, a mind once stretched by a new experience will never return to the same dimension. I first heard that saying and actually internalized it back in 2007, so it's been 11 years now. And when I heard that, what it meant to me was, yay, I'm on a new journey and I'm leaving this old life behind. I'm never going back. It's a brand new day, brand new life. I'm moving forward. Unfortunately, there is something that is more powerful than the idea. That would be the comfort zone. Everybody has a comfort zone, and every modality, every coaching paradigm, every thing that I have experienced has a different way of calling it. The one that I like, or one of the ones that I like, is actually the gray bubble. And when I first heard it called a gray bubble, I was like, well, why would you call it a gray bubble? And as I started thinking about it and as it was explained to me, I started to understand, well, everything that's in this gray bubble is what's familiar. Gray is neither too dark nor too bright. It just is. It's kind of meh. And meh is comfortable. How do you boil a frog? Well, you stick him in a pot of comfortable water, and then you slowly turn up the heat. And then the temperature goes up, but as it rises, he's in there. So he doesn't actually realize that it's gotten too hot until it's too late and he's soup. The same thing happens with life. We sit in our little pot and life turns up, and it turns up, and it turns up, and it turns up. And a lot of times, if we are in trance, we don't recognize that things are ramping up. We don't realize that, oh, things are getting worse and worse and worse. And then at the point that we finally realize, oh crap, I don't want to be here anymore, we're in hot water. So today I want to talk about, how do we get out of the comfort zone? How do we get out of the water, or recognize that the water is being seasoned, so that we aren't stuck in this place that we don't want to be, so that we can take advantage of that thing that makes us human, which allows us to take on a new idea and to involve it, to question it, to apply it, and to create a new life with it. So the comfort zone, this gray bubble, this is what you know. In my first video of this series, I talked about how the hell that we're in, we will stay in until the hell that we're in is scarier than the hell that's out there. And the same thing goes for the comfort zone. Until you realize that you're in hot water, you're going to stay in that comfort zone because it's comfortable, it's warm, it's lazy, it's safe. And I had to laugh when someone told me that the comfort zone was safe. They're like, oh yeah, your comfort zone is safe. And I'm like, what is safe about losing a child? What is safe about having a disabled husband? What is safe about filing bankruptcy? What is safe about all of these things that I've been through? What could possibly be safe about that? And they answered me and said, well, what's safe is you already knew you survived it. You know that you just need to put one foot in front of the other and hang on for dear life, and you're going to make it through. You know that you don't have to expend a lot of effort, because when things get really hard, you pray, you get strength, and you call on the Lord and you say, help me please, and He does. And He carries you in ways that you never thought you could be carried. Where you're at right now, you're safe because you know He's here. You know I'm here. You know I have my children, I have my husband, I have my bills, but I know what my bills are. Even if it's too much, I know what those bills are. I know what the disease is. I know what these things are. And because I know these things, I know what to expect. And since I know what to expect, I can prepare for it. I can be grateful for it. I can affirm my strength. I can do whatever I need to do to be able to hold on for one more day. But eventually there comes a day for some people where you start getting this little niggling, this little thought process. You know, you don't belong here. You know, you shouldn't be here. You know, you need to do something. Anything. But this is not what happiness is. And you start to look around and it's like, oh, I'm not happy. This isn't where I want to be. I want so much more. How do I get more? And as you say, I want more, and you become more congruent with having more, amazingly things start showing up everywhere where you can see people who have more, people who have pulled themselves out, people who are exploring new horizons, people who are blasting through those barriers. You see them and you're like, oh wow, well if they can do it, I can do it. Then the comfort zone comes back and says, but wait, you know what's safe? Right here is safe. What if you fail? What if you take that leap? What if in taking that leap you fall flat on your face? And then you start getting all of this proof that you're going to fall on your face. And so life starts delivering all these things to you. You get friends who are reminding you of how this isn't going to work, how last time you tried this happened. You see videos, you see songs, you hear things, and it's like, oh, what was I thinking that I could do that? And when you get to that place where you start hearing that, what was I thinking that I could do that? I have to ask you a question. And the question I have to ask you at that moment is, when you thought about doing that, did it light you up? Did you feel excited? Did you feel happy? Did you feel hopeful? For the first time in a long time, even if you got those butterflies in the pit of your stomach, did you feel like, oh, this could be fun? That is your true self speaking out, saying, it's time to make a change. I can't be who I am in that place, in that comfort zone. I can't shine because it's gray. And just because it's gray, you can't shine the way you need to shine. And so what do? You turn up the light just a little bit. Just a little bit where you're at. And you figure out, what can I do today? And I have to attribute this to Kristen Howe. And she says, what's the next smallest thing I can do to get me closer to my goal? So what can I do today that's going to take me one step closer to getting out of my comfort zone? If you listen to the crab in the pot theory, then the theory is basically you've got to get out of that pot, leave all those other crabs behind, and jump into a whole new world. And that's where the whole leap and the net will appear type thing happens. And that can happen. But if you're not brave enough to make that leap, don't think that that means that you can't get out of your comfort zone. Don't think that that doesn't mean that you can't make your way through those barriers. So perhaps you might want to blast through them and say, okay, I'm going to leave everything behind. I'm leaving all my friends. I'm leaving all those naysayers. I'm leaving this town. I'm leaving everything behind. I'm done. And then you jump. If you're going to do that, you need to make sure that you have done the inside work so that the person that lands on the other side is a person who is congruent with being on the other side. Sometimes, if we take those smaller steps, it's going to help us to grow. So rather than jumping and blasting through the taro berry, jumping off that cliff, throwing a grenade at it. Sometimes you just need to turn up the temperature, turn up the volume, turn up the light just a little bit more every day. Who am I? What do I want? What's the next thing I can do? So, question for today is, what is the next thing, the next smallest thing that you can do to get you closer to getting out of that gray bubble? What is the next smallest thing that you can do? Are you willing to be willing? Do you want to want? That's another great truism from Kristen Howe. Are you willing to be willing? I am willing to be willing to make a fresh start. I want to know who I am. And when you can get past that, I'm willing to be willing, the next step is I'm willing to do this. And then the next step is I'm doing this. And then from the I'm doing this, then we go to the I did it. I survived. It wasn't the end of the world. Yay! And then we start on to the next section of life. So what's the next smallest step that you can take to get to where you want to be? And in our next video, we'll talk a little bit about how to decide what that is, that where you want to be. But in the meantime, raise your vibration. Light yourself up just a little bit. Let the world see who you truly are.